Most people don't realize how close their dream self really is to them. It's not years ahead in the future, having to do this, that, having to take all these classes and courses and learn all this education. It's closer than you might think, and actually, it isn't in doing more and achieving more. Your dream self is in doing less. And these are 7 Stoic don'ts. These are 7 things that the Stoics wouldn't do. Don't pity yourself. Dr. Michael Sugrue said, "All men suffer, but not all men pity themselves." In pitying yourself, it makes you weaker and you look for harm rather than looking for answers. So in any situation, when something happens, most people often look, how am I harmed? How can I pity myself? How can I be the victim? How can I retaliate and get angry? But the truth is, you should just look for, as the Stoics say, the truth. So when a situation happens, don't pity yourself. Look for what you can best do in that situation for you and to make you better. So you want the best from any situation, and that doesn't come from pitying yourself. Epictetus, the former crippled slave turned philosopher, when he was crippled by a master in rage, he didn't pity himself, he didn't pity his circumstances. Yes, he must have suffered a great deal. He went through lots of pain. He took all this pain and he turned it into wisdom to help the masses. And he did help the masses. Even today, thousands of years later, he's helping people like myself. The second thing the Stoics wouldn't have done is to be selfish. And this is a myth about Stoicism. The Stoics are cold, callous, selfish, only focus on themselves. This is not true. The Stoics believed in the concept of sympatheia, that the universe and our fate and the fate of everyone else, the fate of everything is interwoven in a finely woven web by Clotho, the goddess. And doing something good for yourself is doing something good for others. Doing something good for others is doing something good for ourselves. So all of our actions, when you pluck at the web, it ripples across all the web and it affects everything. The ultimate goal of the Stoics, the telos of their philosophy, was eudaimonia, which is human flourishing or happiness, fulfillment. And it is achieved when you live in accordance with nature. It's achieved when you follow the 4 virtues of courage, wisdom, temperance, and justice. Justice, also known to the Stoics as dikaiosune, covers things like fair dealings, equity, kindness, fairness. And they seen justice as the crowning virtue. It was the most important of all the virtues, because if you do not follow justice, then everything else is for selfish benefit. So all the Stoics would have believed that justice is most important. The third thing the Stoics would not have done, and a thing you need to remove from your life to make it easier, is to not worry about things outside of your control. Now this is easier said than done, but it's possible and it can help you drastically. It's something that has helped me tremendously. From a young age till my mid-20s, I always worried about everything. I had anxieties over things that might happen, might not happen, the past, the future, everything. It caused a lot of turmoil and trouble within my mind and even my body, feeling sick, feeling your heart racing, migraines, that kind of thing. And the Stoics say, as Epictetus quoted, "Some things are within your power and others are not. Within your power are your motivation, aversion, desire, opinion, and in a word, whatever is of your own doing. Not within your power are your reputation, your health, your wealth, your office, and in a word, whatever is not of your own doing." So this is the dichotomy of control. You break down the world into control, out of control. And when you look at it, that simply, you can think, is this within my control, is this outside of my control? And it takes a while to get into this. But when you stop focusing and worrying on things outside of your control, like the weather, whether some celebrities got some drama, whether your football team loses, when you leave these things outside of your control, you no longer focus on them in a way that causes stress. You just see them as things that happen. You know, oh, it's raining. I can't control that. I'll make the best of it. Either go outside and dance in the rain, or I can sit inside, read a book, get all cozy, this kind of thing. You're stuck in traffic, you can't control this. You can use it as time to listen to a podcast, or maybe the radio doesn't work, that's outside of your control. Go look at the views, or just meditate, think on ideas, sit in silence. this kind of thing. It's this acceptance of the things outside of your control, and this will help you drastically. The fourth Stoic don't is do not be a slave nor a tyrant. Now, this is a concept that once confused me. I didn't understand the idea of what it meant to be a slave or meant to be a tyrant. What they're referring to here is a slave mindset is what modern day we understand as a victim mentality. So always looking to be the victim, always looking to be the one that's getting hurt, always looking to be the downtrodden one. When in reality, even if these things are true, you do not seek weakness. You do not seek to be downtrodden, because this does not empower you. It just puts you down. Even if these things are true, you don't need to seek more of them. You don't need to seek affirmation for why you're weak or why you're down. You need to seek the opposite. But the opposite is not being a tyrant. The idea is there's a scale and there's slave on there, there's tyrant on there, and it's a balancing act, and you want to be in the middle, neither slave nor tyrant. Marcus Aurelius said in his books, book 431, my meditations is falling apart because I read it every day. Love the art which you have learnt and take comfort in it. Go through the remainder of your life in sincere commitment of all your being to the gods, and never making yourself tyrant or slave to any man. The idea of being a tyrant is that when you get these things that maybe you're seeking, this confidence, this wealth, this reputation, this fame, all these great things that are actually oftentimes superficial and not needed, we can make ourselves a tyrant. We can overcompensate with this confidence and start to bully people. We can use our greed, anger, and lust to inflict pain on people. We're a tyrant now. We're doing harm because we think we're better than people. So being a slave means you think you're below people, you put yourself below people. Being a tyrant is thinking you're great, delusions of grandeur, putting people down. You want to find the balancing act of just being in the middle, neither slave nor tyrant, just a man or a woman, just solid in your foundations, and your foundations are based off of the four virtues. Number 5 of the things that the Stoics would not have done, and this is to not forget death. And you're probably wondering, how does this help my life? This is not something I want to hear. I'm trying to forget death. But the truth of the universe, it's one of the only truths of the universe, is that all must die. We all die. And in The Gladiator, as Marcus Aurelius was quoted, death smiles at us all a man can do is smile back. Now, he didn't actually say that, but he has many quotes similar to that. And Russell Crowe sounds great when he said that. The idea is simple, it's memento mori. You remember that you're mortal, you remember death, because most people run away from death, they fear death. And I know in some cultures they celebrate death, they have Day of the Dead, they have Death Day, days to celebrate the dead, days to remember our own mortality, because this reminder, understanding that you're mortal, as Steve Jobs once said, in the face of death, most problems wash away, most fears wash away. All those little things that you were scared of doing, they no longer become relevant. You can just do them and live life to the fullest. You no longer waste time because you understand that time is finite. Seneca said that we all act like immortals in the way that we live, but mortals in the way that we behave. We act as if we have 1,000 years to live, wasting time every day, but we feel immortal, we feel weak. The idea is that we are mortal, and every day, every second is precious. Every moment, the things that we do around us are precious. We need to soak it all in and be present. The way in which I do that is, number 1, around every time I'm walking, every time right now I'm sitting here, I just remind myself, memento mori, I say to myself, I'm mortal. So this could be the last video I ever film. I might not even finish this film and never get this video out there, so I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry, you will never know. But that's one reminder, and I just go, wow, I could die. And that's helped me do huge decisions in my life, things that I was nervous for. I just go, memento mori, who really cares about this? Let's do it. Doesn't mean do silly things, it's not like YOLO, like, oh, do this. Another way is using the memento mori life calendar. There's thousands of little squares. This is your whole life, 80 years of your life. and each square resembles a week of your past and potential future. And this little square right here is the present moment. So every week you just cross that out. And this poster comes with these frames and the straps. They're magnetic. So you just clamp it on, hang it up, and it comes in this tube. But if you want that poster and you want to support what I'm doing, use code DEAF for 15% off. It is enough to just say to yourself, memento mori. But this visceral reminder, every time I'm faced with this and I look at this, I'm like, that's all my life gone, and this is all my potential. I could die right here. And this is, every time you just fill in that little square, it just fills me with a sense of gratitude and an urgency to be present and live life to the fullest. It's just something that has worked drastically for me. And this visceral reminder helps me just be there and do what I think is important. I think delivering these messages is super important, so that's what I want to do. Number 6 on the things that the Stoics would not have done is to talk and argue about what it means to be good. There's a quote from Epictetus that says, "Don't argue what a good man is, be one." The understanding is quite clear that people argue and complain and say, this is what you should do, this is how you should behave, oh, he's bad, they're bad, she's not good. And people, you see it on Twitter a lot, threads, people just are arguing about what it means to be a good person, and you should be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. But they're not behaving on these things themselves. So it's a simple thing to cut from your life. When you get the thought of like, oh, I'm going to say, don't do this, this isn't good, unless it's directional and you're actually helping someone be good. But if you're just complaining and arguing about these things, then say, well, I'm telling not to litter, or I'm saying to pick up litter, or I'm saying not to argue. What am I doing right now? I'm arguing, I'm littering, I'm not picking up litter. Hopefully you're not littering. I don't like litterers. It's just ridiculous. Just put it in the bed, easy as. But don't talk about what it means to be a good man. Be one. It's a very simple thing. Just cut the talking out of your life. Very simple, and that will improve your life drastically. And the last thing the Stoics would not have done is to waste time. The Stoics would not have wasted time. In his Meditations 4:22, no wandering. In every impulse, give what is right. In every thought, stick to what is certain. So Marcus Aurelius wrote a lot in his Meditations about having aim. So this is things like a direction in your life. You can base this off of the virtues, so you know that they're good actions, good directions. But just at the start of the day or the end of the day, write down your goals for the day. Write down your goals for the week, goals for the month, goals for the year. Just have an aim that you think, if I achieve this thing, that will be beneficial for me and others around me. I use this, the Not a Journal by the Mulligan Brothers, and you just write in your daily things, your weekly, monthly, year, your goals, and it's very simple. You just write them down, and then you have notes by it, and you get it done because it's right there in front of you. And when you find yourself procrastinating, you just look at it again and like, no, this is what I need to do. This is what I agreed to myself is the most important thing for me to be doing. And it just makes sure you don't wander around aimlessly, as Marcus Aurelius says. And in book 5 of the Meditations, Marcus Aurelius also said, this is a long one, so don't click off the video, it's a good one. At break of day, when you are reluctant to get up, have this thought ready to mind. I am getting up for a man's work. Do I still then resent it? If I am going out to do what I was born for, the purpose for which I was brought into this world? Or was I created to wrap myself in blankets and keep warm? But this is more pleasant. Were you then born for pleasure? All for feeling, not for action? Can you not see plants, birds, ants, spiders, bees, all doing their own work, each helping in their own way to the order of the world? And then you don't want to do the work of a human being. You do not hurry to the demands of your own nature. But one needs to rest too. One does indeed, I agree, but nature has set limits to this too, just as it has to eating and drinking, and yet you go beyond these limits, beyond what you need, not in your actions, thoughts, not any longer. Here you stay below your capability. The point is that you do not love yourself, otherwise you would love both your own nature and her purpose for you. Other men love their pursuit and absorb themselves in its performance to the exclusion of bath and food. But you have less regard for your own nature than the smith has for his metalwork, the dancer has for her dancing, the money grubber for his money, the exhibitionist for her little moments of fame. Yet these people, when in passion, give up food and sleep for the promotion of their pursuits. And you think social action less important, less worthy of effort. I think that's a good quote to finish on. I'll leave you with that from Marcus Aurelius. And just remember, Marcus Aurelius wasn't writing this to give advice for anyone. He wasn't writing this to preach. This was for himself, you know. He was Emperor of Rome, considered the last great emperor. He was hailed the philosopher king, the only person with that title. Great man, as history remembers. He had a lot to deal with. The Marcomannic Wars, the Antonine Plague, losing thousands of his own people. So he had a huge struggle in his life. Difficulties and stress, probably stress that we are not faced with today, who knows. But he used all this writing for himself. When he was on the battlefield in his camp bed, he was writing these little notes for himself that he would read over and over again to make himself a better person. So just think about that when you listen to that quote, because it was to help him be a better person, and it can help you be a better person. So, in other good news, it's summer. Unless you like winter, then. But that's not my point. The point is that there's a sale on the Everyday Stoic website. Buy one, get one free on a t-shirt using code SUN, because it's summer. Or is it because, like I said in the last video, sun was Marcus Aurelius' last words when he was dying on his deathbed. He said, "Go to the rising sun, for I am already setting." Sounds cool. But yeah, code SUN, and you get buy one, get one free on the t-shirts. Thank you to everyone that's supporting what I'm doing. I enjoy making these videos, and hopefully you do too. Hopefully you learn something from them. So thank you for everyone supporting that. Thank you for the YouTube members, subscribers, everyone commenting. I really appreciate the comments. Thank you.